in this image of cleaning out your closet, like something you really loved and treasure about someone, maybe the foundation of what brought you together in the first place. Maybe it's connected to play, maybe it's connected to joy, and you can repurpose that. You can remember like the foundation of what worked about that relationship and reorient towards it.
How would you like to reorg your relationship?
Welcome to the Weekly Transit, a podcast exploring the intersection of Western astrology and Jungian psychology. Astrology is a language that communicates how the planets and stars influence life on Earth, while psychology helps us navigate both conscious and unconscious experiences. Together, these tools offer the potential for self-understanding, growth, and transformation. Join astrologer Scott Tajarian and me, psychotherapist Gabriella Durso, as we dive into the cosmic forecast each week.
Welcome to the Weekly Transit. This is the week of July 29th to August 4th. Hi, Gabriella.
Hey, Scott.
So this week we are highlighting the new moon in Leo. Mercury is going retrograde this week, and Venus transits into Virgo. So we're going to have a few other transits that we're going to cover this week, but those are the highlights: the new moon in Leo, Mercury retrograde in Virgo, and Venus transiting into Virgo. I want to begin by thanking our sponsors: Amanda, Suzanne, Brenna, Kendra, Jasmine, Janelle, Aline, Ricky, Annie, Haley, and Carrie. Thank you so much for your support of the podcast. If you would like to support our podcast with a monthly donation, you can do that on Spotify for 99 cents, $4.99, or $9.99 a month. And if you would like to support our podcast in other ways, you can do so by liking and subscribing to this channel, subscribing to us on Spotify, YouTube, rating us 5 stars, and writing a positive review. We appreciate all the support.
Thank you to everyone who's supporting the podcast and who's left a review so far and reached out to let us know that the podcast has had a positive impact in your life. It really helps us to know how the content is landing out in the world. Otherwise, we're just talking to a screen in our living room.
Exactly. All right, Gabriella, are you ready to get into the week?
Ready or not, here it comes.
Okay, let's do it. So the first transit of the week is Venus, the goddess of love and beauty, the planet of relationships, transiting through the fixed fire sign symbolized by the lion, Leo, forming a trine with Chiron, the wound, and the ancient wisdom, which is unlocked through healing that wound, which is transiting retrograde through the cardinal fire sign symbolized by the ram, Aries. This is happening at 23 degrees. And this is occurring from Sunday, July 28th to Wednesday, July 31st, with an exact trine occurring on Tuesday, July 30th. So, this feels like a real energizing transit where there's an opportunity for heart opening. Heart opening in relationships, being very confident, courageous, authentic, facing your fears and insecurities within your relationships. If there's something that's been sort of beneath the surface that you've wanted to address or talk about, but you've been hesitant to, you've been nervous or afraid, these could be some days that are really supporting you in opening up and having the expression or conversation or joy, the expression of joy or boldness. You know, Leo is joyful, it's bold, but it can also be the black hole. It can suck the energy out of the room. And Aries is about self-confidence and fear. So Chiron is bringing up those insecurities. Venus is also the senses, so maybe it has something to do with your likes and dislikes. If there's something that you've been wanting to express that you really like, that I'd really have fun doing this, but you've been timid or afraid to share what it is you like. These could be some days to really open yourself up in those areas.
And there's a larger opportunity here to look at how important authenticity is in relationships, which I think is a topic that's overlooked. We often associate positive qualities with prioritizing other people's needs. You know, you hear it all the time. So-and-so was so loving and generous, they put everyone else before themselves. And that is one way to be in relationship. But if that's how you're orienting towards relationship, then you don't actually know why people love you. Do they really know you?
Right.
Or do they just love you because you're someone who puts others in front of them?
Who does whatever they want.
Yeah, who does whatever other people want to make the relationship work. And so that is one way of getting love and acceptance, but it's not authentic, and it's not the kind of love and acceptance that really fosters a real deep loving connection with another person.
Well, relationships are about compromise, but if you are compromising other people to the detriment of yourself, then you, in essence, you're compromising the relationship too. You're not just compromising yourself by doing what someone else wants you to do, but you're also compromising the relationship because you're not bringing your full self there. It's like if you say, I really want you to do this with me, but I don't really want to do that, but I do it anyway, and I go out and I give my best, I try my best, I try to be my best self, but what if I can't? What if I'm just not oriented to being in this situation, this circumstance?
Your heart's not in it.
My heart's not in it. And Leo is the heart. Leo rules the heart. So what is your heart into? What gives you that sense of openness and joy and laughter? Are you having to force the laughter? Yeah, it's so funny. You know, you know when a laugh is real. Like you feel it in your whole body. That's when the heart is open.
It sounds to me like a call to stop people pleasing.
Yes, absolutely.
And what's so funny to me about that term, people pleasing, is that even the term itself is sort of flattering to the person doing it. Oh, I'm just people pleasing. You know, I'm just prioritizing you before myself.
Aren't I a great person?
Aren't I a great person? But another way to look at people pleasing is that you're self-abandoning. You're abandoning yourself.
Yep.
But as soon as you shift the energy by referring to it that way, it suddenly feels personal. Like, oh, well, I don't want to do that. Well, that doesn't sound like a quality that we value in society. I'd rather call it people pleasing because that makes me sound like a good person.
Right.
So we need to start calling it what it is.
And what is it?
Self-abandonment.
Self-abandonment, yes.
Self-betrayal, self-abandonment.
Wow. Yes.
We are leaving our own experience to go prioritize the experience of the other person in the relationship.
Well, this next transit is going to double down on this frequency because as Venus in Leo forms a trine with Chiron retrograde in Aries, so too does the sun, the giver of light, life, and vitality, transiting through Leo, the sign that the sun rules, also forming a trine with the north node, the soul's purpose or karmic pathway of the soul, which is also transiting retrograde through Aries. So you have Venus in Leo aligning with Chiron in Aries, and the Sun in Leo aligning with the North Node in Aries. This transit between the Sun and the North Node occurs from Monday, July 29th, to Thursday, August 1st, with an exact trine occurring on Wednesday, July 31st. So these first, let's just say from Sunday to Thursday is just lighting a fire under each individual and asking you, is your heart in it? Whatever it is your heart in it? Is your heart in going to this restaurant, playing this game, going for a walk, doing this job with this person? Like, where is your heart? Where is your heart this week?
And how do you experience being in the heart? How do you know you're in the heart?
I know I'm in the heart because how I feel. I feel good. I feel peaceful. I feel joyful. Does that make sense, what it means to be joyful? Like when I'm enjoying myself. Like doing this podcast, talking to you is fun for me. When I'm drawing a chart for a client, that's fun. When I'm doing a reading or meeting with a client, that's fun. When I'm teaching a class, I'm enjoying it. When I'm researching, when I'm looking at astrological codes of public figures and putting them into my database, that's fun. I'm enjoying myself. I enjoy myself when I'm watching sports. And you know, sports is, I think, a big part of that Leo energy, because Leo is the sign of games and fun and play. And so I think of my work as play. I feel very fortunate because everything that I do for my work, I enjoy. It's fun. There's a sense of joy to it.
Well, I wonder too, when you have this experience of fun, is that embodied for you? Is it in the body?
Yeah, it's in the body. My body feels relaxed. And sometimes there's like a buzzing feeling around me. Like you get that tingly feeling. That's when I really know that, like, okay, I'm getting high right now. You know, like I'm really feeling amped.
I think that's an important distinction. Because so much of what comes up in my work with clients is this experience of being disconnected from the body, and how when you're disconnected from the body, you're disconnected from joy. You lose your barometer, not just for joy, but really for any sort of experiencing. When you're just making decisions from the mind, that is one way of knowing, of decision making. But the mind doesn't have all of the answers. We have to also look at the experience that our body is having to help us connect with our authenticity, because the mind can convince you that anything is true.
Right.
But the body
doesn't lie to you.
Body doesn't lie to you.
Exactly. No.
It's like if you've ever had an experience of food poisoning, like the body's like, I got to get rid of this. This was a no.
Right.
The body cannot lie, but the mind has the ability to. And so part of what I'm hearing you say is that it's such a strong sensation for you of joyfulness connected to your work that there's no way around there's no deception that's possible around whether or not it's a yes or a no for you.
Yeah. So these two transits are also being supported by a third transit, which is Mars, the god of war, the planet of action, aggression, and conflict, transiting through the mutable air sign symbolized by the twins, Gemini, also forming a sextile, or I shouldn't say also, it's forming a sextile, but it's also aligning with the North Node retrograde in Aries at 8 degrees, just as the Sun is. So while the Sun is aligning with the North Node in Aries, and Aries is ruled by Mars, Mars in Gemini is aligning with the North Node in Aries as well. This is occurring from Tuesday, July 30th to Friday, August 2nd, with an exact sextile occurring on Thursday, August 1st. So this whole week from Sunday to Friday even, I know I said Sunday to Thursday, but Sunday to Friday, we're being energized to be authentic. Mars is encouraging us to ask questions, listen, gather information, learn a little bit about a lot. And it's giving you the courage to ask questions, and you want to ask questions because you want to know, who am I spending my time with? What am I spending my time on? Where am I giving my energy? And is all of those, who I'm spending my time with, what I'm spending it on, where I'm giving my energy, is that authentic to me? Does this resonate with me? Does this feel right for me? I don't know if it feels right for me unless I have the information in order to discern that it's right. We don't want to make assumptions here. This is not a good time to be making assumptions. With Mars in Gemini, we cannot make assumptions. We need to be almost aggressively gathering information. What are you confused about? Well, I need clarity. I don't know what I like. I don't know what I want. I don't know who I am. Okay, well, ask these questions in order to get those answers.
I think the question asking stage in self-development is incredibly important. It takes a lot of courage to ask questions because you're admitting that there's something that you don't know. So there's inherently a sense of vulnerability there that's just important to name here. But I also think there's a part here around, again, coming back to the body and practicing understanding how you uniquely make decisions and how information lands for you in the body. Because you can go out all day and ask questions, but if you don't know how to metabolize that in your system and how to know how you uniquely make decisions, then you're going to feel paralyzed by all of the information coming in. So one of the ways I know Scott and I are both passionate about absolutely astrology, but also certain elements of human design, which is a knowledge system that incorporates astrology, but also includes wisdom and information from the I Ching and from the Kabbalah. And human design in your chart gives information about how you best make decisions, which is called your authority. Human design says that the authority is never in the mind, it's always in the body. And some of us have decision-making processes that are asking us to trust our gut, where we get a really clear yes or no answer. So if you ask a question and you get that answer back, you have an opportunity in your system. Like if you're asking, is this authentic to me? You then need to know how to best read that response in your body. So for some of us, it's coming from a yes or a no that's clear, that we need to learn how to trust that impulse. For others, our decision-making process, we need to ride the emotional wave and give ourselves at least 24 hours to make a decision. So it's useful. And there are other decision-making processes in human design. Those are just two to highlight in this space, but we don't all make decisions the same way, and we don't always know the answer right away.
Right.
Sometimes we do, sometimes we don't. Some of us need to practice, if you have what's called an emotional authority, you need to give yourself that 24 hours to check in about how it is you really feel. So expressions like, let me sleep on that. Let me get back to you. So if you're curious in this exploration of sort of asking questions and gathering information, how does that really translate for you in your system? Please reach out. And we're now including in both of our work some elements of human design that we see as really integral to how they fit in with the astrological chart, and for me, how that fits in with, how I'm working with clients in therapy. And decision making is one of the most important aspects of how we move forward in life, how we implement change, how we experience personal growth and development, in ourselves and in our relationships.
The funny thing about human design is whenever I'm looking at someone's human design and referencing that with their astrological code, I can always see in their astrological code why they would be a emotional authority or a sacral authority or whatever the authority is. Anything in human design, I can connect the dots from this is what the human design is saying, but this is what it's saying in the astrology, and how it's like you're getting the same message from two different sources.
Right.
So it's a lot of fun. I just love getting to the bottom of who you are. I want to know, like, who are you? Mm-hmm. How do you work? How does, and that's my purpose as a guide, is to help you understand yourself so that you can accept, appreciate, love yourself, be the best version of yourself. Like some of the greatest gifts that I get from clients is when after the reading, I'll do a recap and I'll give some bullet points about what it is we talked about, or some questions that they need to ponder. And when I get that response from them, oh my God, that's so helpful. Or like I had a client that said, like, you gave me these 7 things to follow with my North Node, and I have it right here next to my computer. I look at it every day. And that's, there's no guidebook really when you come to planet Earth. It's like you show up and hey, how do I do this thing? So I find that astrology especially, and also human design, is very helpful in giving us those sort of notes to help us find our way. And this week is just such a week of really figuring out who you are and what is your joy, and that's the main theme of the week. There's a challenge. These first 3 aspects that we talked about, Venus and Chiron, the Sun, and Mars with the North Node, are very supportive. But this 4th aspect of the week, Venus, again transiting through Leo, forms a square, which is a stressful aspect to Uranus, the primordial sky god, the planet of revolution, rebellion, innovation, independence, and the unexpected, transiting through the fixed earth signs symbolized by the bull, Taurus, at 26 degrees, still conjunct with the demon star that we talked about last week, Algol. But now Venus is at 26 degrees, squaring Uranus. This is from Wednesday, July 31st to Saturday, August 3rd, with an exact square occurring on Friday, August 2nd. So those first 3 transits are really supporting us to gather the information courageously, express ourselves from our heart. But then when Venus squares Uranus, it's like we run into a roadblock. It's like maybe your heart is saying, yes, I want this, but your reality is saying, no, that's not possible. So where are you feeling stuck? In what ways is your sense of joy being bogged down or inhibited in some way, or maybe even dramatically or unexpectedly being taken from you, which can happen with this Uranus energy?
I'm wondering if this transit is about timing.
What do you mean by that?
Well, acknowledging that sometimes we need to have more time to sort of incubate and plan for what we want. And sometimes we get these divine sort of roadblocks, so to speak, that are actually giving us more time to kind of percolate, to
Or, maybe it's not even a roadblock. I know I use that metaphor, but it's like you're on one road and now all of a sudden you're on another road. And you're like, how did I get here? I kind of think of it as like driving through Boston. You're driving on a street and then all of a sudden you're on a different street and you didn't turn. Your car turned, but you didn't actually turn, because these roads in Boston are just they're all over the place. It's not like California where it's, it's this grid.
Mm-hmm.
It's easy to get lost. So you might feel like you're lost in some way, or
you're taking a detour.
Maybe? Yeah, a detour. It's like, how of a sudden did I get on this road? So what is it that pops up there? I mean, maybe it's a roadblock. Whatever pops out of nowhere, whether it's a roadblock, a detour, or you're suddenly in a different place than you thought you would have been, dial it back to your heart. What does that mean? How does that feel? How do I feel about this? Maybe I feel uncomfortable about it at first, but then you get acclimated. It's like dipping your toe in the pool. Ooh, it's cold. But then once you jump in and you're in there for a little while, you're like, okay, this feels good.
Well, I think this is also about embracing the element of surprise.
Yes.
That's what I hear.
Yes,
about
exactly.
Whenever you talk about Uranus, I think, okay, I'm going to be surprised.
Yes.
And we know some people don't like surprises.
Mm-hmm.
Some people do. I'm thinking about, an experience that we had last night. We were out celebrating a friend's birthday, and she was supposed to be out of the country on a trip.
Right.
But her plans changed. Her flights kept getting canceled. And she said, well, I guess I'm not supposed to go on this trip. And so she happened to be home for her birthday, which she hadn't planned. And so we got to celebrate with her and got to meet some of her friends and had a nice connection.
Absolutely.
So that's sort of an example of what you're talking about.
Totally.
And there's two different choices. You can be upset about the detour, that you're on this other path, and that's valid. That could be very real for you. But also there's an opportunity always, I think, to ask, speaking of asking questions, what am I meant to be learning from this alternate road that I've been funneled down, not necessarily by choice? What is it that I need to be observing, learning, and looking at?
Yes. Very important.
Mm-hmm.
All great insights. Yes. It's about turning lemons into lemonade.
Mm-hmm.
That's it. And so that leads us to our fifth transit of the week, which these next three transits are all occurring on Sunday.
Okay.
So like this is the first part of the week that we talked about, last Sunday to this Saturday, where all these transits are really building and strengthening the heart and maybe bringing about some surprises. But by the time we get to Sunday, we get hit with the three highlights of the week: the new moon in Leo, Mercury retrograde, and Venus transiting into Virgo. So let's start with the new moon in Leo, which is occurring at 12 degrees on Sunday, August 4th at 4:14 a.m. Pacific Daylight Savings Time. And if you would like to learn how this lunar cycle, this next lunar cycle with the new moon in Leo and the full moon in Aquarius is affecting you directly, I encourage you to enroll in my moon cycle classes, which are on Monday, Wednesday, or Saturday. I added Saturday classes because people said, I want to be in a class, but you need more times. Okay, so I added a Saturday class. The last Saturday class had 2 people, but it was such a great class. I love the small classes. You can really get deep with individuals. So if you're somebody who wants to have a reading with me, but maybe that's out of your budget, a class is much less than a reading, but it is kind of like a reading in a group setting. Mm-hmm. And so we'll get deep into your astrological code. The less people that are in the class, the deeper we'll get because there's less charts to cover. But it's also about learning this ancient language. And when you are in a class with other people and viewing their astrological codes as well as yours, it's a great way to learn more about this ancient language. You see it reflected in the other individuals in the class.
You offer an incredible value in those classes.
Thank you.
For what people are getting.
Thank
Absolutely.
you. So the new moon is the inhale. It's planting the seeds of the coming harvest. And the full moon is the exhale. It's showing and sharing the harvest. So the new moon is about setting your intentions for the coming lunar cycle, the next 28 days. This new moon is in Leo, so the sun is in a position of power because it's in the sign that it rules. Last month, the new moon was in Cancer, which was a position of power for the moon because the moon is the planetary ruler of Cancer. So these 2 months really present some powerful opportunities to just tap into the areas that are represented by the moon and the sun. The moon is your past, your roots, your upbringing, your childhood, the ones who raised and nurtured you, your ancestors, while the sun is the planet of light, life, and vitality. It brings light, life, and vitality to wherever it goes. And when it's transiting through Leo, it's really helping us all shine. Really helping us tap into that heart energy. When you think about it, without the sun, there is no life. Without the heart, there is no life. The sun was created before the earth, just as the heart was created before the rest of the other organs. It's the first organ that is developed in utero. So this is about setting your intentions to find that joy. Everything that we've been talking about this week, finding that joy. What do you enjoy? What do you love? Like when you say, I love fill in the blank, whether it's you or a food. I love you. I love this food. I love this television show. I love this sport. I love this piece of clothing. I love this song. Whatever it is you love. What do you love?
Well, it's interesting to consider, too, that the sun is also the planet of consciousness. It's what we are conscious of. It's what we're aware of. We're awake during the day, and so it's how we are orienting towards our awareness. So when we look at the earth revolving around the sun, in some ways we are revolving around our consciousness and also revolving around our hearts. Even though we live in this way.
I love that, revolving around our hearts.
Yes.
Yeah.
So even though we live in this way where we're really focused on like what's happening with the mind, and we think that the mind is sort of running the show, we really have this invitation from the planets to be more oriented towards our hearts.
Yes. That's it. Because your heart matters.
And your heart is the center of your body as well. Energetically, the heart chakra is in the center.
Yes. Yes. So it's about setting your intentions to find your joy, find your bliss, find your sense of self and play and fun and joy. That's what we're setting our intentions to do here.
To focus your awareness, what you are conscious of, with your joy. To put more energy and attention towards your joy, towards what your heart wants.
Yes. And that's going to take us right into this next transit, because Mercury, the messenger of the gods, guide of souls to the underworld, the planet of consciousness, communication, and coordination, begins its retrograde transit through the mutable Earth sign, symbolized by the Virgin and ruled by Mercury, Virgo. So the sun is in a position of power because it's in the sign that it rules, and Mercury is in a position of power because it's in the sign that it rules. But when you're thinking about where you want to put your attention, that joy, that's where Mercury and Virgo comes in. I just love how the way that the signs work, because Leo comes right before Virgo. Virgo is about the details, the mundane functions of daily life. What are you doing from the moment you wake up to the moment you go to sleep? Well, what I want to be doing is something I enjoy.
Mm-hmm. But there's a process even in that. Like, I love to think about sort of the back end. Like, well,
Okay.
how do we get there?
Mm-hmm.
So there might be a piece here with the moon. The moon is the planet we're exposed to at night when we're asleep. So it's the planet that rules the unconscious. So it rules the part of ourselves that we're not yet aware of, the contents that we want to actually bring into consciousness so that we can engage with them in daily life and bring them into reality.
Yes.
So we have to, in order to experience joy in our waking life, in our consciousness, perhaps there's a component of bringing that material from the unconscious. Like, if you're someone who thinks, I don't know what is fun, I don't really know what I enjoy, I don't know, that there could be information for you in your relationship to the moon, to the unconscious, where that needs to come into your awareness so that you can relate to it.
I think of it as giving yourself the opportunity to enjoy yourself. Like when you think of the moon, and right before Leo is Cancer, and Cancer is about nurturing. It's about being kind. It's about caring for yourself. So I think so often when people don't know what it is they like, what they enjoy, they're not giving themselves an opportunity to really be playful. They're maybe being too hard on themselves. And if you're being too hard on yourself, what do you need? You need to nurture yourself. You need to care for yourself. You need to be kind to yourself. Once you are being kind, caring, and nurturing to yourself, it's like everything's okay. Everything is okay. Like
that might be a process of
everything's okay.
of reparenting for some of us.
Yes. Everything's okay. Oh, everything's okay. Then I can play. I can have fun. And then once you're at that point where you can play, you can have fun. Now it's about, how do I make this a part of my everyday life? I really love astrology. This is so much fun for me. I want to make this my work. I want to make this every day. That's the Virgo energy. So Mercury transiting through Virgo, retrograde, at 4 degrees and 6 minutes, is going to transit all the way back to 21 degrees and 25 minutes in Leo. So Mercury is just at these first 4 degrees of Virgo from the time it moved in to Virgo to August 14th is when it moves back into Leo. So this period of Mercury retrograde, with Mercury moving back from Virgo to Leo, is really allowing us to find the mental process between what do I enjoy and how can I make this work? How can I make this joy a part of my life, my daily life? And Mercury retrograde is about slowing down. Slowing down. I had a client say to me last week, I'm already feeling this Mercury retrograde. I didn't realize it started like before the retrograde. And it's like, yes. And I showed them how you see Mercury moving every day. Moves 2 degrees, 2 degrees, 2 degrees, then 1 degree, 2 degree, 1 degree, 2 degree, then 1 degree, 1 degree, 1 degree, no degrees, no degrees. It slows down. So as it slows down, we need to slow down.
I always think of an image for Mercury retrograde as like you're driving on the freeway with your foot on the gas, and the first thing you do if you're going to slow down, maybe you don't brake right away, you just take your foot off the gas, and the momentum that the car slowly moves as it slows down without the brake pedal, that's the experience of Mercury retrograde, where it's really subtle.
Yes.
But it's very slowly, as you're describing, like 1 degree here, 2 degrees, moving at that sort of a pace.
Yes. It exactly the same.
It's really gradual.
It's gradual.
But you feel like that gravitational shift in your body to slow down.
Yes.
So I think there's always an invitation with Mercury retrograde to go back, right? To revisit, relearn something from the past. There's something from the past that you need to bring into the present. You need to go back and sort of
review.
Yes. And there's going to be something that, because Mercury is the mind, there's a mental process here. There's something for you to go back and explore and ultimately integrate, maybe let go of. Maybe it's something you need to bring into your present.
Yep.
But there's something to pay attention to. Pay attention to the things that come up during Mercury retrograde, relationships, people from the past.
Yeah,
and
who's revisiting your life who wasn't there before?
What is it that you didn't learn that maybe you have now an opportunity to learn, so that the next time we have Mercury retrograde, you don't need to come back to that same experience anymore. Anytime we have an experience of going through the same pattern or the same loop, that's letting us know that there's something we didn't learn from that experience. And so even though that can be incredibly frustrating, the way to move forward out of that loop or pattern often involves a mental process, or it could include the body as well. How to really integrate whatever it is that you're meant to be learning from a circumstance, a relationship. It's coming back around so that you can really learn that lesson. And so even though it can be a challenging time to slow down, to come back to, okay, I thought I was done with this relationship, this thing, this feeling. But if it's coming back, it's an indication that you're not done with it, that there's something else, there's some wisdom to extract.
Yes. Well, and I think the focus and the wisdom is your heart. What are you feeling in your heart? That's when Mercury transits back into Leo. And prior to that, and then after, during the retrograde shadow, it's going to be in Virgo. And that's really about focusing on, what are you putting into your mind? How is it affecting your body? And what are you putting into your body, and how is it affecting your mind? What are you doing from the moment you wake up to the moment you go to sleep? Really monitoring yourself. Taking the time to monitor yourself. Now, when you talk about like that reflection and review and what's coming up again, like really think about these dates. Like Mercury has been in its retrograde shadow since July 16th. Today's the retrograde, August 4th. The retrograde ends on August 28th, and Mercury moves out of its retrograde shadow on September 11th. So where Mercury is on August 28th is where Mercury was on July 16th. So between July 16th to August 28th, you're experiencing maybe similar themes, yes, within your conscious, within your awareness. And then on September 11th, Mercury is going to be exactly where it was on August 4th.
This is one thing I appreciate about the planets, is we always get another chance.
Yes.
If we didn't learn something, integrate it fully, there's always another chance.
Yep. Yes. Beautiful.
And that's hopeful to me.
Yes.
I appreciate that.
It's like we push ourselves so hard, and we're so hard on ourselves. Like the planets are like, yo, you don't have to like, it's just ride the wave. Ride the wave. Don't try. You can't force the wave. You just take the wave wherever it's going to take you.
You can try to swim against the current, but you're going to have a really hard time.
Exactly.
Yeah. You're going to make things harder for yourself. I'm feeling like with this Mercury retrograde happening while the sun is in Leo, that there are going to be some real lessons for us to look at from childhood. Especially because most of us, our relationship with play our relationship with play was really informed by our childhood. And so if you're someone who has a difficult relationship with play or with fun, then it's going to require a look back at your childhood and maybe how that was experienced in your family system. Is it something that was valued? Were you allowed to explore play? Did the adults in your life play with you and help you be centered in what was joyful for you? Or was it cast aside?
Good questions.
Lots to explore about, how you came to have the relationship with play and with joy, and just with, valuing your heart in general. And how does that connect back to your childhood? What do you need to maybe relearn, depending on what the answers are to those questions?
Yes.
That could be part of the reparenting that's coming up.
Absolutely. So the same day as Mercury retrograde is when Venus transits into Virgo, and that's a dramatic shift in energy when Venus has been rolling through Leo all week and aligning with Chiron and then Uranus, and then it hits Virgo on Sunday, where it will be from August 4th to the 29th. So hopefully during this Venus and Leo period, you've had a chance for play in relationships, play in terms of your senses and what you love. And now we're putting this into practice, putting the play into practice. So when you think about childhood and play, like you were talking about, and when things, I think when you were saying that, what came up for me is, when did play stop becoming fun?
When did it stop becoming a priority?
That too.
Yeah.
But I also think of it in terms of, like if you're somebody who played sports as a kid and it was fun, but then it gets to this point where it's not fun anymore. And you have to shift your sense of what is fun. Because fun is an important part of life. We're not just here to suffer. We're here to have joy, to enjoy ourselves. So, but it's about putting that play into practice. So you were saying, like, when did you stop playing? Maybe this is about, because as a child, you didn't realize that maybe I can take this play and put it into some sort of practical reality in my life. Like, I just think of myself as an astrologer, like what really excited me when I was first getting super obsessively into astrology, as a kid, I used to draw all the time, and I was a part of like a special group in my school that got taken out of normal class so that we could do art, because they're like, oh, Scott's talented at art, and I thought it was awesome. But then I kind of stopped. But then when the astrology came up and I started drawing these symbols and drawing charts, I was like, oh, so I used to love drawing, and now there's a practical application to my work for drawing. I get to actually create through drawing for my work.
I remember you used to draw symbols on a whiteboard.
Yes.
And it felt like such an integral part of your process. And
huge. In
how you learned astrology yourself, and how, and also how you continue to teach it. And when we talk about, being embodied, that is a part of learning and is a part of play. So learning how it feels to draw the symbol is connecting the mind to the heart.
Exactly.
Is connecting the whole system.
I couldn't just think of Mars as a word that's like floating out there and this red planet. The symbol is what made me understand what it meant more than anything else. Because you just look at a circle of spirit with an arrow pointed in a clear direction, and that symbolizes the energy of Mars. It's your eternal soul and how it acts, how it moves forward without thinking. You see this arrow that's just boom, it's taking off, it's going there, and it's very firm looking. You know,
it is, and the color too, red. Well,
red is the color is, yes, the planet's red, yes, but I don't think of the symbol that I draw for Mars is not red. All the symbols I draw are black. But Mars is the planetary ruler of Aries, which is red. And so all the signs that I draw are color-coded based on their element. So it's easy to remember that Aries, Leo, and Sagittarius are fire because when I look at them, they're red. The symbols are red. But this is how you take something you enjoy and you put it into practical application. So with Venus in Virgo, Venus is not just relationships, it's the senses. Why do you relate to somebody? You relate to somebody because you have something in common. I like this, you like this. We both like the same thing. So who do you want to partner with to bring that fun into practical application? That's one aspect to Venus transiting through Virgo. Another aspect to Venus transiting through Virgo is you think of Venus. Virgo is the sign that rules the intestines. You know, we talked about Leo and the heart and the heart and the heart, but Virgo's the intestines. Maybe not as sexy as the heart, but the intestines are an important part of the body because they're clearing out, cleansing, detoxifying whatever it is you're eating. So what parts of your relationships, your senses that are a part of your daily life that you want to remove, that you want to eliminate?
It's essentially a decision-making process. This gets to stay. This is nutrition that I need. This is waste that I'm ready to let go of.
So it's really like when you think of the diet and people that really understand diet, I mean, I'm sure all of them have some Virgo in their charts. You know, they're really paying attention to what they're putting into their body, and it's about the details. So Venus in Virgo is really urging you to hone in on the details of your relationships, your likes and dislikes, and what you are ready to eliminate. We can't hold on to it all. It's like, oh, I really like that piece of pizza. I want it to be in my body forever. No, it doesn't work that way. So what are you wanting to eliminate? Hopefully by eliminating aspects of your relationships, or maybe a relationship in totality. You're like, I'm done with this person. You know, it could be that. Or it could be something that you used to like, but now it's like, you know, this is not really my thing anymore. I don't have as fun doing fill in the blank. You get rid of that and you feel lighter. Like, you know, people that are moving, it's like, oh, wow, you know, moving sucks, but I got rid of so much stuff. I feel so much lighter. It's like I just got rid of all these things that I never use anymore and I didn't even know I had. They just keeping clutter in the closet and I don't need them. So this is about lightening the load.
It's also about, you know, this image of going through your closet or going through your stuff and deciding what to keep and what to discard. You can also rediscover how maybe you want to use things more efficiently, or revisit, you know, qualities in a relationship. Like, hey, this is really what connects us. Like you find
reorganizing parts of your relationship.
Reorganizing.
Yes.
Yeah. So it is sometimes discarding, but you also might find like gems in your relationships, or in this image of cleaning out your closet, like something you really loved and treasure about someone, maybe the foundation of what brought you together in the first place. Maybe it's connected to play, maybe it's connected to joy, and you can repurpose that. You can remember like the foundation of what worked about that relationship and reorient towards it.
How would you like to reorg your relationship?
Yeah, I mean, Virgo is so much about efficiency.
Yes.
It's like this part of this thing in my life isn't working. How can I make it work more smoothly, more efficiently for both of us?
Right. This relationship is causing more clutter in my life, and I'd like it to be more efficient.
Yes.
And the efficiency is based on what's bringing me joy. Like, these are the things that I like, and these are the things that I don't like. So let's get rid of the things that I don't like and focus on the things that we like together. And now our relationship is more efficient. The last time Venus transited through Virgo was October 8th to November 8th, 2023. And the time before that was September 4th to the 29th, 2022. So think back to those dates for clues on what could be in store for you this time around. Do you remember what we were doing September 4th to the 29th, 2022?
Were we moving?
Yeah.
Yeah.
We were packing things up.
Perfect.
Yeah, getting organized. And so, if you were born with key astrological points or planets in Gemini or in Sagittarius, take it easy on yourself. Take it easy on your relationships during this period, because Gemini and Sagittarius, Gemini is mutable air, Sagittarius is mutable fire, Virgo is mutable earth. They're all mutable. They make strong aspects to each other, but air and earth don't mix. That's Gemini and Virgo. And fire scorches earth, earth extinguishes fire. That's Virgo and Sagittarius. So there's tension around relationships for those that were born with key astrological points or planets in Gemini and Sagittarius. And that doesn't just mean the sun. Like, if you were born with Mars in Gemini or Sagittarius, then this Venus in Virgo over these next 25 days is going to square that Mars. And that could indicate that there is going to be conflict in your relationships around the day or days that Venus is squaring your Mars.
Well, what I want to say about that conflict and something to be mindful of with Venus and Virgo is oftentimes this Virgo energy can feel and be experienced by others as very critical.
Harsh.
And really harsh, and just like kind of complaining and pointing out what's not working.
Yes.
Very much that energy of like the fly in the ointment. And part of the gift of Virgo energy is to see what's not working and is to see how it actually can be improved. So to the best of your ability to translate that sort of critical nature into the energy of improvement, and actually how can I just take my complaints and my ability to see what's not working and actually bring that into the energy of transformation and allow it to move the relationship forward in a way that is practical and has a healing quality to it is really important. If you stay in that critical place where you're just pointing out the things that aren't working, you're going to end up in a loop that feels really self-destructive. But translating that into a way to move forward is really, really important, because at the root of it, Virgo energy wants things to improve.
Yes.
Because we desperately need to figure out like how to improve our lives, our relationships on a personal level, like in our community collectively. It's a really important energy, but we have to be able to get past just the critical nature.
So maybe it's important to make sure that you're bringing light to the improvements. That because Virgo also is such the perfectionist. So there's always room for improvement,
right?
But let's acknowledge the improvements that have been made. That yes, it can still be better, but I'm so glad that, we did this and we've improved from here to there, and we still have a ways to go, but I'm really excited about how much we've improved to this point.
Yeah, so maybe it's about identifying the next step for the improvement instead of just sort of focusing on everything that's not working.
That's a good point. Yes.
Yeah, to your point of what is the next step in the way we're evolving in relationships.
Yes.
Because we do have to think about things often as being incremental.
Yes.
But that perfectionist nature wants to just get to that point of perfection right away.
Right, exactly. And there's frustration that it's not perfect now.
Right.
So you bring up transformation too, and it just makes me think everyone who was born between 1995 and 08, you are going through a transformation to your relationship energy, your sensory awareness during this period. Because those who were born between 95 and 08 were born with Pluto in Sagittarius, Pluto's transformation, Sagittarius, mutable fire, Virgo, mutable earth. And so there could be some difficult transformations occurring to your relationships during this period. So just take it easy on yourself and don't try to force anything, but also don't resist the shift. You got to push the baby out. You can't hold it in. So allow the transformation to occur. And yes. Okay.
And that
wonderful.
brings us to the end of the week.
Yes, it does. All right. Should we do a question?
Let's do a question. Our question this week comes from Kelly. What will this year's Leo transits mean for a Leo moon?
Well, when planets are transiting through Leo, such as the Sun, Mercury, and Venus, as they do every year, the Sun brings light, life, and vitality to your emotional nature. Mercury brings conscious awareness to your emotional nature, and Venus brings your sensory awareness, your likes and dislikes that are touched by your emotions. So that's what it means for a Leo moon.
And a lot of what we talked about today around connecting to the heart.
Exactly.
Connecting with heart energy.
Somebody who's born with a Leo moon, they naturally are attuned to following their heart. And you notice in their posture when they're walking.
Yes.
They have such great posture. It's like heart forward, chest up, shoulders
I've
back.
Noticed that.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
And so they're heart forward people. And so, Kelly, you're going to be, your heart's going to be bursting out even more during this period. I mean, I hope it is already. It has been. I mean, Venus has already transited through Leo, so maybe I'm getting a little late to this question, but it's going to stimulate your heart. Mm-hmm. And the sun is still there. We still got another 18 days of the sun in Leo. I'm not sure where your moon is, but also, like, where is your Leo moon? The degree that your Leo moon is at is important to know, because that is whenever those planets are touching that degree or near that degree is when your emotional nature is really going to be stimulated in a bold, extravagant, dramatic way.
Mm-hmm. So
Some Leo adjectives for you there.
Yeah. So I imagine, Kelly, that you'll feel emotionally satisfied, emotionally connected to these transits.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah. We'll do one more question today. This question comes from Manuel. How do some charts not have ascendants?
That doesn't exist, Manuel. I'm not sure what you mean by that. I mean, maybe if somebody doesn't know their time of birth and they're doing like a sunrise chart, but they would still have an ascendant. So there's always an ascendant because there's always a sign that's rising along the horizon. It doesn't just disappear. There's always a sign that's rising along the horizon.
So there's always
an ascendant. So I'm not sure where you heard that or where that's coming from, but let me know.
Yeah, maybe give us more context or rephrase the question for us.
Yep. All right.
Okay.
Well, thank you for all your questions, and thank you, Gabriella.
Thank you, Scott, and thank you to our listeners.
Yes, thank
you. For your continued support. And
Absolutely.
For being here with us.
Yes, thank you. We'll see you next week.
Until then, take care.
Thank you for listening to the Weekly Transit. If you're curious to learn how these transits or any others may be affecting you, or if you are interested in learning more about your astrological code, contact me for a reading at theweeklytransit.com. If you're interested in delving into the world of psychotherapy with Gabriella, you can connect with her at innervisionpsychotherapy.com. This episode was produced by me, Scott Tajarian. Music written by Ben Leinbach from Listen Deep by Amber Herzog-Lyman. Wishing you all the best as you ride the planetary waves.